I really can't believe I'm saying this, but a little before 2 months since the 2025 season ended, Formula One is officially back. This has to be the shortest gap between the final race of a season and a preseason test for the next one, right? Anyways, yes, F1 is back, and more excitingly so, we have a new set of regulations. Cars are different, engines are different, drivers are different. Really, despite 2025 being like 2-ish months back, everything is different now. One thing, however, that isn't is the host of this private preseason test, or Shakedown thing F1 calls it, and that's the Barcelona track. This circuit is typically the host of many preseason tests since it's just a well-balanced circuit. It's no wonder why this place is the host of every preseason test, and as such a popular circuit, I bet the fan views of these sick cars were awesome, right guys? Ew. Yeah, so F1 wanted this test to be private and away from any and all media, which meant, other than what F1 themselves was showing, there is no other footage of these cars unless you want to analyze potato quality angles taken by Viet Cong soldiers. Though truth be told, there isn't a whole lot to discuss when it comes to the test, except that there is. See, we still know a whole lot of info since F1 ain't really enforcing track info and lap data from entering the rounds, so what was even the point of making this test private? Well, who cares anymore? The next sections at Bahrain will be fully public, so there's no use complaining now. The information we do have from the preseason test is enough for me to sit my fat ass down and start talking some winners and losers. A couple of things before we move on though. I will not use any footage from the test, even the ones released by F1 themselves, since I am not risking anything. You hear me? Plus, there's going to be no prediction or bingo section since I didn't exactly do one anyway, so there's nothing to review. Finally, take quite literally everything I say here with not a grain, but a mountain of salt, since this is pre-preseason test. Almost nothing shown from it will apply to the real season. Anyways, let's go get these winners and losers now. Go join the Discord to cry and subscribe if you're new if this year is our year. So enough yapping and let's get to quacking.
See those clouds up in the corner? That's where the rain is coming from.
As always, people of Formula Duck, we must recap the weekend, otherwise I get sacrificed to the devil, and this one is going to be strange. See, this testing wasn't a weekend, it was a whole weekday week, business week, I don't know, since the test ran from Monday through Friday. So for time's sake, don't expect me to get full detailed recaps on each day. However, it's not like much happened anyways. In fact, most of the excitement came before the test, since F1 announced, months in advance by the way, that these tests will be private. This was probably done in an effort to avoid the whole 2022 situation where media was allowed for these tests, and in typical F1 fashion of everything going wrong and nothing like predictions, the cars were terrible. Remember porpoising? Well, that phenomenon was revealed to us all during the Shakedown 2022, which immediately got everybody talking, not in a good way of course. Plus, Russia declared war on Ukraine around this time, which for all its detrimental effects on the world, hey, at least he got rid of Mazepin. And of course, this was another big controversy in the F1 news cycle, and for a private test, there sure was a lot happening. So F1, not wanting to deal with all this BS, declared that this year's Shakedown will be ultra private. No cameras, no journalists, no media, no Puerto Ricans, and no girls. So what happens on day one of the test? Media shows up, and when they are immediately turned away by security, they complain online. Well, what the hell did you expect? Now, I understand being mad at F1 since they release their own footage, which is often deceptive of reality, but being mad because the private security for the private test turned you away after saying you will not be allowed months in advance? What are you, stupid or something? The race were the biggest whiners of this, and it's like, dude, what did you expect? So after that fiasco, the test got underway, so how did day one go? Day 1 featured exactly what you would expect from a preseason test for new regulations. Lots of teams went out and experienced many minor issues, which hey, considering how last time in 2022 went with all the bouncing, I'd say this is much better than expected. Scratch that, far better than expected, since all we ever heard from the drivers and teams since like 2024 is how bad these new cars are and how the engines are terrible and the aero bits would fail. Now, did issues like that come up? Yes, of course, but the doom posting narrative that these cars would fail immediately for now seemed to be false, which gives me hope, man, because look at this car and tell me this isn't Formula One. The ground effect cars I thought didn't look too bad if you look at the right car, but that's the thing, if you look at the right car, on average, these cars look terrible. So seeing these new ones hit the track where they are far simpler in design and sport the old looks of cars, man, does it look sweet. But going back on topic, day 1 didn't feature a whole lot since every team was relatively fine. Not definitely fine though, since one team had to ruin the vibes, and it's of course Audi. What? The team who have been saying how bad they're going to be for 2026? No way, man. Now, I don't think this actually says anything, but Audi reportedly had an issue with Gabby, which saw his session cut short. Like, very short. Apparently, this issue came up very early on his run, so I'm sure this inspires confidence within the team. However, other than them, every team just had a nice day. In fact, it was real nice since over 100 laps were easily completed in this test, which is a lot more than what 2014 could say. This is just so sweet, man. These new wrecks seem to be working great so far. They look beautiful. Can day 2 be more of the same? Again. Day 2 does seem to be more of the same, however, with a twist. Rain fell here, which prompted literally every team to have indoor recess except for 2, which was Red Bull and Ferrari. Max and Charles actually did most of their laps in the dry, however, Lewis and Isaac did theirs in the wet, and I gotta say, chat, we could be back. Now, the rain wasn't too heavy or anything, but if Silverstone last year looked like this just off of some minor puddles and no rain, I think these new cars can be very effective with spray. But of course, with the rain comes challenges, and considering these cars are brand spanking new in how they drive, it would make sense for somebody to find the barrier, and would you look at that, Hadjar is in the barrier. I'll never forget you, buddy. As for the session details themselves though, they seem yet again positive. Red Bull's engine so far doesn't seem to have any issues, which is a shock to me personally, but even more shocking, guys, this year could be it. The Ferrari engine hasn't blown up yet. Guys, the title is coming back. Charles and Lewis both have this feeling of confidence when speaking on the car, and hold on, did we cook? If we cooked with the car, fuck the title. If the car can get at least a couple of wins, Fred, I am never speaking ill of you ever again, my little Pookie Bear. But I must calm down for now. Did day 3 show more promise? Again. Oh man, LN1 is here. Now, I'm not biased against Lando, and in fact, I think LN1 looks cool, but come on, don't disappoint me, Max, George, Charles, Lewis, Kimi, Fernando, Sainz, Albon, Checo. But yes, McLaren are finally out on track, and given how they won everything last season, pressure is everywhere on McLaren for a replication of last year's results, so let's see if they could do that, preferably without a replication of last year's process in getting those results. But other than them, Alpine, Haas, and Audi got some more laps in, and in the case of Haas, oh hell yes. Haas seem to be doing very good so far. They have logged a huge amount of laps by this point, nearly 3 race distances as Ollie puts it, and it gives me hope, you know? Haas is a team I love since when they joined the sport, so did I. 2016 was my first season of F1 as a fan, and while it has been terrible every single year afterwards as a Ferrari fan, at least Haas have grown in that time. A team where the exact opposite about everything I just said can apply to is Audi, where Haas are logging lap after lap after lap on the Ferrari PU, mind you. Audi logged 27 laps with Nico and said, lived it, loved it, farewell. Now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on day 1, but day 3 and it happens again? Maybe Binotto wasn't doomed posting all 24 and 25. Maybe he was doomed predicting reality. Either way, this isn't the best news, of course, and one could only hope Audi don't suffer this bad in 2026, not with Gabby and Hulk as their drivers. And Alpine were in here too, so let's see how the penultimate day and day 4 went now. Again. You know, something I didn't think I would say at all after bullying Audi and their turbo engine is, there is a worse one out there. Not applicable, James. If you're watching this, my apologies, man. On the recent episode of Crash Happy, which you should totally watch by the way, I said that Honda have cooked and know what they were doing, to which you said, no, they lost most of their employees and will disappoint. Well, seems like you were right, since in that monster or a big brain 300 IQ totally not overrated Newey Aston car lies a horrible fucking engine. Pick a number between 1 and 237. That's how many laps Aston completed. Got your number? Cool. If you chose 159, you are wrong, because Aston completed a whopping total of 5 laps before breaking down. 5 laps, bro. I don't care that it's preseason. 5 laps is ridiculous, man. If this year really is GP2 Honda days for Alonso again, especially after the monster engine Honda made in 2021 last time they were here, then you really just have to feel bad for him, man. Like, at least a little bit. Anyways, nothing else really happened, since surprisingly, most teams seem to be really good. Red Bull's Ford engine seems to be good. Ferrari's engine seems to be really good, along with Merc's as well. Guys, I'm actually really optimistic for this next season. The drivers seem to love the cars, citing more driver input is needed now compared to the last gen of cars. The engines don't seem to have the bullshit factor yet, except for Audi and Honda, of course, and the overall vibe is just so cool, man. Let's see if the final day can keep this up. Again. The final day of testing showed us some better things for all the teams and was overall a good vibe. Asta for starters actually did some laps this time, quite a few actually. However, it should be noted that they ran their engines on low power so they could test the limits of it. So is this a victory? I don't know. But other than them, every team just had a nice solid day with some good laps. And not to be that guy with the lap time, since if there's lap times you shouldn't pay mind to, it's definitely Shakedown lap times. But Ferrari and Mercedes so far look stupidly rapid. Of course, when talking about Mercedes, I also include McLaren in there, and if 2026 could be a three-way title fight between those three teams with a little bit of Max Verstappen spice, don't forget him, man, oh man, is this a sport I miss. So that rounds out the Shakedown test. Now we wait a couple of weeks for the Bahrain test where we, the public, can make full inferences on the teams and cars. 2026, please be kind to us. But now, what you have been waiting for, the winners and losers. And as always, losers first, and we have Williams. Now, if you had a keen ear, you would know I did not mention Williams a single time so far, and that's for good reason. They ain't show up. Not because they forgot, well, I guess technically they did forget not to show up to the test, but forget to actually build a fucking car. Their car was so overweight, and to add on, reportedly failed the crash test and only passed on day 2 of the Shakedown. They're also rumored to be struggling with the aero package since they just can't get a single thing right, I guess. I mean, my word, what happened, James AEIOU? I thought you didn't care about 23, 24, 25. Break everything. You remember that? If you're gonna talk a bold game for 2026, don't be this embarrassing, man. Like, everyone is gonna have issues, right? But Williams, their issue is so big that it makes other teams insecure. Now, realistically, Williams will be just fine. Like, they aren't idiots, or at least that big of idiots. I'm sure their time and effort into this year will not go unnoticed, so they won't be backmarkers, but boy, oh boy, is it still embarrassing. Here's to Alex's and Carlos' chances for next year. Next up on the loser board is Aston, and yeah, duh. Now, Friday was far better, yes, but come on. The simple fact that Honda have been hyping their engine up for a year and a half now, saying how it's going to be super fast like Mercedes is, only for it to blow up 5 laps in on Thursday immediately, that shit is comedy gold, man. Now, like with Williams, I don't think this will actually impact things like how some say they will, but for sure is a confidence booster. The last thing Aston need right now is to not progress up the grid. I mean, sure, at least they aren't falling down, but what good is that if nothing comes of it anyways? Alpine haven't made progress since like 2018 and have only fallen down because of it, so it could be inevitable for Aston at this point. I don't know, man. If this is Alonso's last year in the sport, then we could only hope Aston don't put the ass in Aston Martin, right guys? Good one, bro. Finally, since there really isn't a whole lot to discuss, I have the race for being some whiny dickheads who don't understand the concept of a private fucking test. If your name ain't on the list, you ain't getting in. Simple as that. I, Formula Duck, am actually in Barcelona right now recording this video in my super awesome hotel suite since I got invited, but not you, the race. Haha. I'll pass you guys in sub someday. Finally, let's discuss the winners, and first up is Mercedes, obviously. Alpine, McLaren, Williams, and definitely Mercedes can all breathe easy. Their engine is goated. I mean, we have been hearing this nonstop since like 2023, and would you look at that? They weren't lying. Their engine survived pace lap, stress tests. I mean, they just had such little issues. Bahrain will give us a better indication on how good they are when we, the fans, can actually understand what's going on, but given how nothing bad seems to have happened so far, shit, man, you gotta be a little optimistic for them. All I want is either a Russell or Kimi title to fulfill my coach desire, so please, go make daddy proud. Next up is Red Bull, who I'm surprised, man. I was like 100% convinced Ford would drop the ball this year, and again, Bahrain will be a better indicator, but things seem well so far. I mean, they only ran for 2 days since Hadjar crashed, but Racing Bulls have been running and their engine does seem splendid. As for the actual Red Bull car, it does seem to feature many of the cool tech bits that Merc and Ferrari have, specifically around the diffuser and suspension area, so I don't think fans of them should worry when it comes to aero and chassis package. I mean, George even complimented them to put a cherry on top, and yeah, I'm really surprised. Well done, Red Bull. But fucking each and every one of you, this year is our year. Guys, Charles and Lewis are smiling. Do you know how big that is? They like the car and the engine isn't blowing up or doing weird things. Even with Hassan Caddy, the engine seems to be showing so much promise so far. And guys, please believe me when I say this year is our goddamn fucking year. Finally, let's do my bonus category. The first bonus category of the year is the spoiler category. Spoiler to what? To my predictions video, which may or may not be the next video upload to the channel. Anyways, my predictions for, let's say, Rookie of the Year goes to Arvid Lindblad. Of all the rookies next year, Arvid will show the most promise, and I have zero doubt he will blow the rookie competition out of the water. So those are my Shakedown winners and losers. Something I really love so far right now is the good vibes. Every driver and team so far seem way happier than I thought, and I don't know if that's just to please Big Brother, but I'ma hope it isn't. I'm really happy everyone is happy. Anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the vlog for their continued support. Make sure to join if you want cool benefits as well as just helping me out. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since it really helps me out, and make sure to let me know in the comments who your winners and losers are. And as always, have an amazing day.
Good winner for the duck.